Hey guys, we're back and we're moving on to NFL. So before we start with the game picks and everything like that, Maurice Jones-Drew and David Garrard are both out this week, and they're facing Houston. So I mean, Trent Edwards.
I think they have a really good shot at winning this game, honestly.
With Trent Edwards?
Yeah. I mean, Trent Edwards has proven that he's a great quarterback.
I
don't know why he wasn't starting over Garrard, anyways. But
he had some decent games again.
No, they're screwed now.
All right. Well, Houston's ranked last in passing defense.
But it's Trent Edwards,
yeah,
so that balances it out. He's ranked last in passing.
Rashard Jennings had an absolute flop. If you're a fantasy owner there and you lost Maurice Jones-Drew, chances are you probably picked up Rashard Jennings, and I'm sorry for you because you're probably out. But Rashard Jennings had a terrible game. I think he had 37 yards. That was not what he was supposed to do. And he looked pretty good earlier in the season too.
I had picked them to win too, which is
Jacksonville.
I picked them to win over the Colts.
I've been saying the Colts are going to win it.
Yeah. I think without this injury, they clearly would have made it though.
We'll see.
I don't know.
But yeah, Trent Edwards. I mean, at least he has some quarterback experience. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you're bringing in Max Hall or something.
Yeah.
You know. I mean,
but the difference is they have a good coach. So Jack
Trent Edwards, he isn't that bad.
Mm.
You know, when he filled in, when he was in Buffalo, I mean, he wasn't that bad.
Yeah, no, he was pretty good.
He had a few good starts, so it depends.
He sucked towards the end of his seasons there, but
yeah.
But yeah,
I think Jones-Drew hurts more than.
Oh, obviously, yeah.
I mean, he's been putting up 150, 175 yards, and
David Garrard has either really good games or really terrible games.
Yeah.
So Trent Edwards has a decent day, completing maybe a third of his passes, even a third of his passes, and have Rashard Jennings have a game that he was supposed to have last week. I mean, maybe they have a chance, but Houston's pretty good. I look for Arian Foster. I have a lot of rushing yards against Jacksonville, so it's going to be a tough game, but I'd go with Houston that game.
All right, moving on with game picks. Buccaneers at the Saints. Who wants to take this one?
Mitch?
All right, I'll take it. Yeah, I'll go with the Saints. Yeah, they had a great game against Atlanta, and they finally took down Atlanta. Atlanta went down. That was a good game. Drew Brees actually looked like he was back to his Super Bowl form last season. Yeah, against the Bucs, I know the Bucs need a win. Josh Freeman in a huge game. I don't see that happening. Drew Brees has been through it before. I like for Drew Brees to have a huge game. A lot of offense in this one. I think it's going to be around 35-31.
I've been picking against the Saints pretty much all year.
Yeah.
You know, every time they're in there.
You picked them last week.
I did. But I got to pick them this week. I mean, I've been picking Tampa, too, which is kind of scaring me. But
I've stayed away from Tampa. I just don't think Freeman, when you can trust, when you put in all your money in Freeman and LeGarrette Blount, I mean.
I have a question. Are the Saints already in?
Yeah.
Saints are already in.
Saints are in. But I think they have some seeds to go with. I think they can look for the second seed. So I'm thinking that if they're going to go for that bye, they'd easily go for that. Because they just beat Atlanta. So they have a chance to get for the second seed. So with Drew Brees against the Buccaneers need a win to get in. But even if they do get a win, they might still not get in.
I don't know. I think it all depends on how they play this game. You know, if the starters play the entire game, I give the edge to the Saints. It's going to be a close game, but
it's at Saints, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll go Saints. 35-31.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to. I don't know. This game kind of scares me a little bit because I've liked Tampa all year, and to pick against them in the last week, you know. But.
So who are you going?
Go with Saints.
What's the score?
28-21.
All right, Saints all the way. Moving on to our next game of the week. Bears trying at Lambeau, trying to keep the Packers out of the playoffs. Thoughts on this?
You know, I've been picking against the Bears this whole year, really. I still don't like Cutler. After what I saw against the Patriots, that was the only game I've seen them throw out. I'm still gonna pick against him. Aaron Rodgers has more composure. He seems like in these big games, these cold weather games, he can produce. I'm gonna go Aaron Rodgers in this one. He's back. He looked pretty good last week. I'll go Packers all day, even against that Chicago defense. I think Chicago's gonna be resting some players. They don't have much to play for. So I'm gonna go Packers in this one pretty easily. I'm gonna say 28-14.
Yeah, I mean, we completely destroyed the Bears, and then Green Bay comes in without Aaron Rodgers and almost beats us. So there's no way I could pick the Bears in this game either. I mean,
there's going to be some matchup problems for Cutler. A lot of pass rushes, like we said with Clay Matthews before, but Charles Woodson. Who's going to lock out? Who's going to knock out Knox? I mean, so the Bears have a few wide receivers. They can have Hester, Knox, Arama Shadu, Olsen. It's going to be some matchup problems there.
I don't think so.
No?
I really don't. I think they're going to shut them down, to be honest with you.
All right. So what's the score?
I'm going to say Green Bay pretty easily, 35-21.
35-21. I like you.
All right, so both Green Bay?
Yep.
2 agrees already so far, so...
We've been doing that a lot lately.
We're on the same record right now.
I think you got me by 1 game.
It's the big game, right now.
Right here. Game of the week.
Big game.
Never thought I'd be serious like this, but the 7-8 St. Louis Rams against the 6-9 Seattle Seahawks.
Winner hosting a playoff
Who
game.
is taking this one? Who's taking it?
Take it
I'll give it to you.
All right, cool. I'm going to go, Seattle's actually pretty good at home. I think they're 4-2 at home. They have a tough place to play at the 12th man or whatever. They call it the fans the 12th man because they're really good fans, but they don't have much to cheer for. I know they're going to try to win the game, but I'm going to go the Rams in this one. I think it's too much running game for Steven Jackson against a terrible run defense in Seattle. I think Sam Bradford is much better than what Charlie Whitehurst. That guy's going to do nothing against the Rams. Who's actually, on paper, they're not that bad with Togue and Chris Long, who can rush the passer. I'm gonna go the Rams pretty easily. Actually, it's been a tough ride for that NFC West, but I'm gonna go the Rams 28-7.
28-7.
Yep.
Oh. All right. Well, I love the Rams. I actually think they're a good team.
Yep.
I mean, they've proven this year that they can play.
I think out of all those teams in the NFC West, they at least have some talent. You know what I'm saying? With Bradford and Jackson, I mean that's a pretty good 1-2 combination. They're at least say playoffs. You look at the 49ers, who, by the way, that was a good run, but...
Yeah, I was pretty close on that one.
They did. They still couldn't find a quarterback since the end of the season. They were just battling around the Smiths.
I know, that's the only reason they didn't make it. If they had just picked with...
Frank Gore went down, too.
That's true.
That's huge.
But, yeah, I mean, the Rams have been great this season.
Yep.
So, it looks like you're going to take it.
If you look at Seattle, then...
Although... Seattle does have a pretty good running game.
I'm going to force that.
No, but they have a lot of options.
Justin Forsett and Marshawn Lynch.
Maybe you want to go Seattle just to try to have a chance?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking maybe the running game can pull this one out.
All right. They have a tough place to play.
They don't have great running backs, but they have a lot of options there that they can do.
If you look at the Seahawks depth chart, if you look through the offense and defense, they have absolutely no weapons on that team.
They don't.
That team is really overrated. I look at Lofa Tupu, who's one of the only guys on that team who's pretty good
But
at
I think
defense.
that's the reason they might be able to win. Kind of like the Bears, where you don't really know who to cover.
It's tough to go in there. If you go look at a team in the East Coast, like Buffalo or even New England or Miami or somebody who goes over there from different climates all the way over west, it's tough to play with that tough crowd. But St. Louis isn't that far. They're in the middle of the country, and usually that's not a big deal. They play a lot against each other. So that's the only problem with the home field.
I don't know. Just like in Atlanta at home. Seattle at home. You know.
All right.
I'm gonna pick them just to
try
to tie it up.
They lost their basketball team 2 years ago or whatever. They need something.
I want to tie it up with you, so let's do this. Let's go.
All right, moving on. You guys touched upon this briefly last week. Is it fair that possibly a below 500 team hosts a playoff game?
No.
I'm going to say what I said. If you win your division, because I mean you are given divisions. It's not their fault they have a shitty division. If you win your division, you should be able to get into the playoffs. If you're going to host a playoff game, that's a different story. But if you're so bad, then a good team. If you're playing the Saints, if they're really a Super Bowl caliber team, they should win. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, if they're good enough to actually beat the Saints, then maybe they are good enough to get the playoffs. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
If they're beating a team like the Packers, Bears, Saints, whatever, or Falcons, and actually win a game, I mean,
I just don't think it's fair that they can make it, but a team like the Packers are on the edge.
See, I'm kind of biased. As a Patriots fan, a couple of years ago with Matt Castle was 11-5. That's what really got me pissed off about this whole NFC West thing. But a team of under 500. That's the real thing.
I don't know. I think if it was a team that was
if you're 8-8, 9-7.
I think if there was a team that was like you said 8-8 or 9-7, but you had say like the NFC East where you have the Eagles, you have the Giants, you have the Redskins, the Cowboys,
Yeah,
I mean that kind of thing is okay, but you look at this division, it's like who the hell are these?
The sad thing about the NFC West is they all have terrible records. They're playing each other too.
Yeah.
They play each other twice a time. So I mean, if you're still, I mean, if the Rams win, they're 8-8, which is a .500 record. But if the Seattle Seahawks win, it's 7-9, and they win the division, that's absolutely terrible. And something's going to be fixed about that. I think they might change the playoffs. But for right now, I mean, if Seattle actually wins and Seattle does beat a team like Packers or something in the next round, I mean, I guess they deserve it because they beat it. But I mean, if the Packers lose to them, then that's terrible. So.
I think if it comes down to maybe a tie, like for the wild card, then the division should decide it.
Yeah.
Something like that, you know?
Yeah, but it wouldn't be a tie.
What do you mean? No, I'm saying if it was like just the top 6 teams made it, doesn't matter what division, then the tiebreaker, if there was one, should come down to the division winner.
See, NFL is probably the best playoff system there is. I think Goodell could try to fix it. I think NFL's going to fix it.
But you get this in every sport.
You do.
Well, not NHL, but...
MLB West, too.
Yeah,
the West, somebody's going to fix
the West. How can the Red Sox not make the playoffs?
I know, somebody's going to fix that West.
All right.
And I'm a Yankees fan, so...
All right, final. We got a fan question. Matt from Minnesota asked us if Brett Favre is healthy. Do you think he should start this final week, or Joe Webb?
Go home to Mississippi, God.
No, it definitely Webb.
Just get out of here.
Yeah.
The Vikings need another quarterback to step in after Favre. I don't think they want him back after this year. I really don't. And they need to find that next guy. I mean, Tavares Jackson's good, but I'm liking this kid Webb. You know, he's been shown that he can.
Yeah, they made a statement against Philly.
Yeah,
and they actually beat Philly. But if I'm Minnesota, I know Webb's had a pretty good game. I would have lost the last 2 games. I mean, there's a big quarterback class coming in the draft. If you can keep on moving up that draft chart, maybe get around the 5 or 6 pick with all those quarterbacks coming out.
True.
And I mean, I didn't like when Tavares Jackson did step in. I didn't like what he was doing, and now Webb. I don't think that's the answer. I mean, the guy's
the one thing against what you just said. A lot of the quarterbacks are being picked later now, though.
Yeah,
in the draft.
But you look at a guy like Jake Locker, who was supposed to be a top guy in the draft class, who's moving down. You can get these really talented guys later in the draft. So if I'm in Minnesota, I'll just keep on losing, get more options up there in the top. And I mean,
and also just because they're the best quarterback in college doesn't mean they're going to do anything in the NFL.
True.
You need to find that one player.
But
that has
at least you have more guys. I mean, the last quarterback they drafted who had any talent was John David Booty, and that guy had a terrible. And that guy might not even be in the league anymore. I don't think. So
I haven't even heard that name in a few years.
Hate to interrupt here, but we only got about 2 more minutes left in the show.
So. Okay.
All right.
Moving on to NBA, the Celtics and the Spurs both snapped their streak against the Magic. Thoughts on this?
Magic doing it all, taking down the Spurs and the Celtics.
They're starting to really scare me.
Yeah, this is streak week. If they can get another big, like I said last show, they'll be a decent team. But with Dwight Howard, with all the foul trouble, losing Gortat, that's going to hurt. But you know, Celtics and Spurs, they're a very experienced team. I know they're older, but I mean, if they can get all these injuries back, Garnett and Rondo, and Spurs can stay healthy, I think they have a shot. But
I'm not surprised that they snapped the Spurs streak, but I am surprised they were the team that stopped the Celtics. Just because the Celtics seem to be able to handle them pretty well.
Yeah.
You know, I mean.
Remember last week?
They're very good at getting Dwight Howard.
Remember last week we were talking about all. We'll see next week about all the streaks with the Sidney Crosby, UConn, Spurs, Celtics, all gone that week.
All done.
What a great week for streaks. I know. Sorry, guys, but yeah, Celtics and Spurs. I think they'll come back.
Oh yeah.
The Magic's only 4.5 games behind the Celtics. I mean, who do you think will have the best record in the East?
I've been going it
Celtics
all the way. I'm sticking with the Heat again. I still think the Heat, you know, they're young.
Actually,
they have something to prove. Unlike the Celtics or even Orlando, they've had experience in the playoffs. They just want to make the playoffs and do damage in the playoffs. The Heat want to do damage now, and they want to be a good team going into the playoffs, or else people will trash them totally.
I'm taking back what I just said. I think the Celtics are going to be 3rd seed.
3rd seed?
Because Doc Rivers is going to rest all the players.
Who do you like, the Bulls, Magic, Atlanta, 2nd seed?
I like the
Bulls,
the Magic.
Magic? Yeah,
just because Rivers is going to set everybody.
Right now, I'll go Heat, Magic, Celtics, Bulls, Hawks, the top 5, and everybody else sucks in that division. So
I'd say if they played it all out, the Celtics would be number 1. But I don't think the Celtics.
Doc Rivers is going to rest people. Heat are all going to stay healthy, and they just need that big 3 to step up. Who knows?
All right, that's all we have for this edition of The Pitch.
It's a little bit shorter this week.
Our shortest.
It is New Year's Eve too.
2 parts.
2 parts.
2 parts. All right, so we'll see you next week. Until then, this is The Pitch with Fox, Beatles, and Mitch. See you next week.
Peace.